Browns radio analyst Nathan Zegura talking about the folks that are criticizing Andrew Berry for the Quinshon Judkins pick after the domestic violence arrest in Florida over the weekend.
I think that people that are criticizing the pick, I would be very curious to see what their comments were when the pick was made. I think it was pretty much a universally praised pick. There were not red flags in terms of this, and now people are bringing up stuff at Ole Miss that, he wanted the ball more and he complained about an offensive lineman and yelled at him. I mean, to me, that's competitive stuff. This is a completely different situation. There were no signs of it, and it is unfortunate because Cleveland Browns need to be, in the news for good things and getting this football team going in the right direction, hopefully solving this quarterback situation. It's obviously tough because the way that it's set up where he was drafted, right, is that he's replacing probably the most popular Cleveland Brown of the last, decade in Nick Chubb. So it's terrible. These are young kids with a lot of money, and you certainly cannot control them at all times. This is not one where, okay, this was a known character flag and we took the risk anyway and it didn't work out. This was not that. So it's hard to fault, Andrew Berry, and it is unfortunate, and it appears to be obviously not a great situation. And as more information comes out, obviously decisions will be made by the National Football League and the Browns about what that means for Quinshon Judkins.
Let's welcome in Garrett Bush from the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show in the Barbershop. G. Bush, if people want something to point at with Andrew Berry, that's kind of what this is. And the other thing is, it's the third year in a row where you've had a draft pick, and then you throw in Devin Bush, who I completely forgot about that one. He was in court today, so you got 3 draft picks and a free agent. It's tough. It's tough on Andrew Berry.
Yeah, there's always unintended consequences, and there's things that you look at when you draft somebody. I go back to my time working before I got into media and middle-level management in corporate America, and you quickly learn that even though you don't necessarily have to basically be a person who condones the behavior or you're the person that had anything to do with the behavior, at the end of the day, most people look at it as if you hired somebody or you hired them or drafted them, they look at that as an extension of what you had a choice to do. And fairly or rightfully or wrongfully, that's just how people kind of consider it. Now, when it comes to me, and as I look at this situation, I mean, you can't blame Andrew Berry. I mean, I come from an era where, my father always tried to tell me to be accountable for your own behavior and your own mistakes. And as a man, if you do make a mistake, you got to own it. And so I kind of live by that. Like, these guys are grown adults. They're not kids. They've been making money a lot in college. They've been paying taxes for a long time. And sometimes, yes, they are young adults. But when you come to decisions like this, you have to take accountability for what you did. And it's tough to say that Andrew Berry could have known anything about it and now I get it. If he had to do his due diligence and went in his scouting department, brought up some red flags in terms of Quinshon Judkins and some things in the past, and he overlooked them, then of course you can say, okay, well, you had an opportunity, you got the homework, you got the information, you did your homework, and what came up should have gave you some pause, but you went through that because you wanted to take a gamble. But from my standpoint, I never thought that even Mike Hall Jr. or Judkins had any of that type of, I guess, baggage. We hadn't heard anything. I haven't heard anything. I talked to people at Ohio State. They say that there's nothing where you would have saw this type of behavior become a pattern or anything. So it's just unfortunate. Like, people are fallible. People make mistakes. In the case of Quinshon Judkins, this was a grave mistake because of the simple fact that you're not under contract. If you take a look at the police reports, and I've said this openly on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, when you look at the police report, it just doesn't look good, from the circumstances. I try to wait to let the legal process play out. But for the information that's on deck that is available right now that people can look at, it does not look like it's a good situation for Quinshon Judkins. And he put himself in a bad place. And now now you guys are reporting in training camp, you don't have a contract. You're going through legal issues, and you might face a suspension from the NFL. And it's unfortunate because and I always say this, it's unfortunate to the young lady as well, because sometimes we approach it as just strictly football and sports because that's our industry and that's what the fans really care about on the field. How does it affect the Browns? But you know, it's a human business, it's a human world, and hopefully he learns from it. Not saying that he can't come back from any of it, but it was a big mistake on his part from what I'm seeing. Hopefully we'll figure out what's going on. But for the Cleveland Browns, Andrew Berry didn't put hands on anybody. Andrew Berry made a football decision. Everybody liked the decision when they drafted him. It's unfortunate he just made a mistake. I don't think that you can put that on Andrew Berry, especially if there was no red flags in his history.